sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and welcome to the weekly NCAA Insiders College Baseball Show, year number 4, with the best in the business, Mr. Matt Grissom and Quentin Mills. Quentin is driving home, so we will try to keep him on the road, no tickets, and Matt hunkered into his nice studio, ready to talk NCAA baseball, week number 13. That's right. 3 months already behind us as we get closer to conference championships, of course, regional, super regionals, and Omaha. Today's headliner, is it time to buy Georgia Tech plus 600? The rambling wreck of Georgia Tech, probably the best offense in the country. Do they have enough arms to get to Omaha? And if they do, can they make some headway there? But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsor and partnership. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. So without further ado, let's bring them in. Mr. Matt Grissom and Mr. Quentin Mills. What's up, boys?
Good afternoon, Jeff.
3 months in the books. Let's take us back to January and February before the Insiders edition came out, which I have right here on my desk. Now, 3 months later, a new website. But things are starting to get cooking. I like to say cooking with Crisco. Q, take us back to January all the way to where we are today. Headliners, shockers, and oh, by the way, is Coastal back after that whooping of UNC?
Jeff, I'll be honest, all the audio, I heard take me back, and then it sounded like you were a robot. If you could refresh what question you asked.
I wanted to know from January to where we are today, 3 months in, your thoughts in January and February before the book and the Insiders came out to where we are today, 3 months in, the headliners, the shockers, the studs, the duds, and my closing thought was,
He just tried to reset. I'll take it over. But yeah, you mentioned it in the show opener here. Georgia Tech, cover boy, Drew Burris. Georgia Tech is legit. And I'm really excited to see it because as an SEC guy, I've enjoyed the reign over the College World Series that the SEC has had for the last decade. That being said, I'm ready for some fresh blood to be in the mix. And this year, it looks like it's 1A, 1B. The top 2 teams in the country consistently, week in and week out, are not SEC teams. And that's fun for me. It's UCLA, Georgia Tech. Sign me up. I hope they both make it to Omaha. But, yeah, other than that, looking back, I think the wildest thing from preseason to today is just how bad LSU is. I mean, they are, second to last in the SEC? South Carolina is ahead of them in the SEC standings, who fired their coach like in week 5. So, yeah, complete rebuild for LSU. I know they've dealt with some injuries, but nobody saw that coming out of Jay Johnson's squad. Now, they have won 2 College World Series in the last 4 years, so they can have a year off, I guess, even though Tiger Nation doesn't want that. Q, what's been your biggest surprise this season?
I'll echo that. I thought LSU was going to be the first team since 2018 to make it back to Omaha. When I looked at the portal moves, bringing in Zach York, you kept Milam, you had Derek Curiel coming back, the catcher. I thought they had some really good pieces offensively. And then you bring in Cooper Moore, who had a really good year at Kansas the year prior. You were bringing back Kason Evans. You were getting Gavin Guidry back. And then to see them just kind of fall off the face of the earth this year and just, I heard there's some locker room issues. I can't attest to that. That's just a third-party thought that I've heard. Some things going around. I could see that being the case. The guys just don't seem like they're into it. They're into each other on the sidelines, just, from 1,000 miles away. So they were my negative surprise. I would say my positive surprise was, I would say USC. It's offensively, they've always been a concern. This year, they've been able to score enough to win games. Obviously, their pitching staff is one of the best in the country. And I was really worried about their offense, but they've done really well.
Smooth Turn wants to know, is Q technically him on assignment? Yeah, he's on assignment back home, trying to get home safe and sound, as we like to say here. Getting back to Georgia Tech plus 600, ACC, we always talk about the ACC here, but with the demise of LSU and the SEC and Tennessee getting their coach and staff poached, you would see 2 down years, Tennessee and LSU. Wasn't this a time for Arkansas or someone else, Florida, someone else to take the reins in the SEC, guys?
Yeah, I just think you had a drop off of talent for Arkansas in particular. I mean, last year's team, probably good enough team to win the College World Series. They fell short of it. If that team was this year, they probably win it all. But like I said, with UCLA and Georgia Tech really leading the pack right now, I'm more worried about how just the longevity of the SEC season. We've seen so much chaos already, and we still have, 3 weekends left? I don't know who is actually good enough to come out of a regional, super regional, and make it to Omaha out of the SEC. And I don't feel like in all the years I've been doing this, I do not feel like I've had a more questionable who is actually good issue that I do this year. Like, is Texas good? I don't know. Maybe. Is A&M good? Maybe. Is Mississippi State good? Maybe. I don't know what more they need to do at this point. All I know is I can't pick any of these SEC schools to say, okay, yes, if they go up against Georgia Tech or UCLA in Omaha, they're going to beat them. Where I think the SEC will get lucky is they're probably going to have 6 or 7 hosts, maybe 4 or 5. We'll see. And then they're going to get an easy draw with directional schools. They're going to get out of their regional and most likely avoid the saltier programs that could upset them. Even though we saw it last year, Coastal Carolina went into Auburn and won that, and that's why they made it to Omaha. But usually the SEC gets a pretty favorable draw, and that's why you end up having so many SEC teams in Omaha. But I don't know. There's not very many SEC schools that I can put a pin in and say, yeah, they're an Omaha team for sure. It all depends on the draw at this point.
Well, I'm in DraftKings right now, Q. SEC regular season champ. Georgia's still the favorite, minus 160. A&M plus 250. Texas at plus 400. Mississippi State at 1,800, and the rest, toodaloo. Thoughts?
Georgia and Texas, they're 2 teams. I think more so Texas, but it's specifically speaking of SEC. A&M, to me, the pitching's just not there to make that run, especially in Omaha when you talk about Georgia, who has actually looked pretty good on the mound, and then Texas. Texas, to me, is one of the most complete teams in the country. So those would be two that I favor. I think Texas, to kind of tie into Matt's point, though, I think Texas is a lock. When you look at everything, listen, this isn't professional baseball. This is college, and you're still playing for something. There's still this thing called rivalries and kind of passion. Jim Schlossnagle took TCU to Omaha. He also took Texas A&M and was one game away from a national title. They get embarrassed in year one to UTSA last year at the home regional of Austin. Couple that, you have Volantis, you have Ruger Rios, you have Luke Harrison, you have some other guys in the pen. I just, using last year's motivation of, hey, guys, we got embarrassed very badly on our home field. I cannot see Jim Schlossnagle's team not making Omaha. And frankly, yes, they are going to get a favorable draw. They're going to be a top 3 seed. I don't know that anybody could go into Austin using that as momentum. Bulletin board material, who's going to go ahead and beat them? They're just so complete. When Dylan Volantis started your season as a Sunday guy, that kind of tells you all you need to know. Ruger Rios is your game 2 guy now. I just don't see a world that they don't make it from the SEC. I will say this year, I do think Matt is correct in saying, when he made the comment or 4 or 5, I do think you're going to see a little drop off of the SEC. I think the ACC is looking really good. I think there's a couple other teams like Oregon State who bounced back after a slow start. Some Big Ten teams, USC, if they could keep pitching and scoring just enough, they could make a run and get back to Omaha, where they used to be an absolute powerhouse there till the early 2000s. UCLA's a namesake right there that's going to get in. They do kind of toy with their food a little bit. That kind of concerns me. Matt said that last week. But at the end of the day, they're just going to be able to muscle their way through. So that's kind of where I'm looking at as a whole. But specifically SEC, Texas is the only lock in my opinion.
And midweek games where expect the unexpected. Here's a UNC team that was just cooking with Crisco, as I like to say. In comes Coastal Carolina and just took them to the woodshed. Matt, are we buying or selling?
Getting Cam Flukie back was big. I don't know. It's all going to, and I hate to keep saying that, it's all going to fall back to who's in their draw. I think they're a tournament team that could very well make it straight to Omaha, but I don't know. There's so many questionable teams, but I feel like Q stays more in touch with Coastal. I want to go back real quick because you were talking about the SEC odds and Georgia being now a pretty heavy favorite. They're 15-6, A&M 14-6, Texas 13-7. If you think back, Texas and Texas A&M series, they canceled game 3. This is the same thing that happened in the Big 12 last year, where Kansas went to West Virginia and swept West Virginia. Had more wins, but one more loss because they canceled the Florida State series for West Virginia. So it went by conference win percentage, not wins. And West Virginia still won the Big 12. Now Texas and Texas A&M, if they want to take over Georgia's spot, they're not going to get that game 3 back. But now they need one extra win than just being tied. So
it's almost been 2 games now.
Do what? So if Georgia finishes with 28 wins or 21 wins and Texas is at 21, Georgia's still winning it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like they're playing 2 games back now instead of 1 because you lost that extra game.
And so did A&M.
To touch on your Coastal point, Matt, they're fluctuating between an 8 and 9 seed is kind of where I'm seeing it consistently. I think that plays a big role too. Now, if I had to pick a team that could potentially go into Super Regional and do another upset of Auburn or somebody else, and you give me Coastal, I think that's a good pick. But if they finally get recognized as a top 8 national seed, which I don't think anybody can argue if they were the 8th seed against them for what they've done. I think that also gives them a huge advantage because they do pack that stadium. It does get loud. We saw that against East Carolina, the fan base that they brought there and made it pretty untenable. I would hate to have to be a team to come into the Palace and have to deal with that.
Guys, I guess the question why we still got you, Q. Give us the Florida Gator report.
I don't know. Take 2 weeks ago, it's probably the same. Last week's probably different. This week's different. I just don't know with this team. The talent is there. Matt says there's a drop-off in talent on Arkansas. I can't say there's a drop-off in talent on Florida's squad. The problem is it's like a mental drop-off. One series, they're all in. It's all in on the Gators. They're buying into each other, and they're winning baseball games. And then the next weekend, it's like, oh, we got game one. Well, let's just pack it in, boys. And you don't show up. You make stupid mental errors. So, as much as it's a cop-out, I don't know. And quite frankly, I don't know if the Florida Gators know what the Gator report is on a day-to-day basis. The team talent is there if they could figure out how to play consistent baseball, but I don't know if they can figure that out.
Matt, Arkansas report?
Sitting at 30-16, you get the series win against Missouri, but you drop game 3. You really needed that one. At this point, they're all must wins. You host Ole Miss this weekend, who is going to throw the kitchen sink at you on the pitching staff or with their pitching staff. Their offense is better. I think it could be a long weekend for Arkansas that's going to dictate a lot about where they end up landing. Right now, I think they're projected 2. I saw D1 put them out going to Nebraska and then facing Texas A&M and College Station. And if they can make it through the Lincoln Regional. I don't have a lot of faith right now. The one thing I can rest assured on is that Hunter Dietz is the real deal. Whatever night he pitches, it's going to be hard for me to stay off of Arkansas. But outside of that, not that Cole Gibbler's been bad as a game 2 starter. There's just not really very many arms that I can trust for the Razorbacks.
Short slate and bases. I'm only looking at 3 games. Vandy at Alabama. Alabama minus 133. Louisville at Wake Forest. Wake Forest minus 220. Utah BYU. BYU minus 123 and under over a 14.5. I guess they're expecting some runs there. But as you said backstage, Matt, a big weekend series, Friday Night Lights. Why don't you start us off?
Yeah, the difference here is Vanderbilt's offense is still ticking a lot higher than average. They're at 112 weighted runs created. Alabama's dead even at 100 for average. Sierra, they're both comparable, 87 and 85. I think if Vandy can, because they're very Jekyll and Hyde, but if Vanderbilt can swing the bats tonight, I feel pretty comfortable with Vandy taking game 1. I took the plus 1.5 minus 175. It's what the model liked. Not saying that's a lot of juice, may not be worth the squeeze, but we've got it projected 6.8 to 6.1. So a 57% chance in Vandy winning. And then for the other one, I laid the run line on Wake Forest. They're minus 1.5 taking on Louisville. I think Wake pretty much dominates them in every statistical category. I know Louisville's been trending upwards with that offense, but I think Wake handles business tonight. This is where we have officially entered into the now you cannot lose area if you're borderline wanting to make it into the tournament and try to fight for a 1 seed.
Q?
I think BYU's a decent play. I know that's kind of a weird game to look at, but when you look at BYU, they kind of struggle on the road, but then they're a different team at home. And I don't know if it's that altitude out there in Provo. It's a rivalry, Utah, BYU. I just think they're going to be juiced up at home. They should have a little bit of a crowd. Now, the weather, I'll be honest, I haven't looked. For all I know, it could be snowing. It was snowing for their Arizona State series 2 weeks ago, and then the next day was like 65. So I think there's a good number. Our site had I want to say it was like 6.9 to 6.7 or somewhere in that vicinity. So give me the Cougars at home. it's about the only time that I'll take them.
Matt, give us some Friday night lights and some big weekend series to take a peek at.
Well, okay. There's some really okay series, and then there's some really bad ones. The more that I've thought about this, go ahead and just bet Georgia to win the SEC at -160. I don't know if they have an easier cakewalk. They host Missouri this weekend, then they host LSU, then they go on the road at Auburn. Even if they get swept at Auburn, they're winning their next 6 straight SEC games.
Yeah.
And remember, they have to lose 2 more than Texas to not win. I feel like that's all but a sure thing. But to answer your question specifically, tomorrow we do have some decent series outside of the SEC, maybe not, but we've got Mississippi State, Texas. That's going to be a great series. Florida, Oklahoma, Auburn, Texas A&M. These are all these like nut check time, if I can say that. These next 3 series are going to decide everything, not to just throw away the rest or what's happened, but is Florida, if they can win these next 3 series, now they've put themselves in a position to maybe become a host. Same for Arkansas. It's like I saw people talking about, is Tennessee out of the tournament? And there's 3 weeks left. They're going on the road to Kentucky. If they sweep Kentucky, Tennessee might as well be in the conversation with Arkansas, Alabama, Florida, Oklahoma, as can they win out and be a host? Like it is insane the amount of parity. Everybody's just kind of bottlenecked there at the top. Every game matters this weekend, and I think it's going to make for some really good matchups.
Q?
I can tell you I'll be on game 1, Florida. They're probably going to be plus money for the 3rd straight week with Aiden King on the mound. I do know LJ Mercurius is going, and he's Oklahoma's best pitcher, but there's something about Kevin O'Sullivan when his teams are on the line. They figure out how to win series. I think they bounce back against an Oklahoma team that I just can't get a feel on. Like outside LJ Mercurius, like they're not an explosive offense. Cam Johnson's hittable. He's kind of fallen back into his LSU ways, but for whatever reason, the books continue to give Aiden King plus money. And I'll be frank here, and people can call me for bias, but Aiden King might be the best pitcher in baseball for the last 3 weeks. The guy's just an absolute domination on the mound. He's unhittable. I mean, he was chirping at the Aggies last week, going 8 strong, and even the Aggie fans were like, yeah, we deserved it. He sliced us up all night. So give me the Gators, hopefully plus money tomorrow. But then after that, hopefully Liam bounces back. I think the Georgia play, taking the 160 is a great spot for that Matt put out there. You're not going to find a -160 for the next 9 games of their schedule. So you're just going to have to sit on that ticket for a couple weeks, and it's probably going to cash. But they're a great parlay piece. Tennessee going to Kentucky. Kentucky hasn't looked that good. Tennessee's playing motivated baseball. Look there as well for a team that needs it. And then to finalize it with his point, Florida wins 6-3. Their last 9 games is 2-1 every series. 17 wins in SEC is a guaranteed host. I mean, there's no world that 17 SEC wins doesn't get you there. Same for Arkansas, same for Tennessee. So if you're in that range, you're guaranteed a host spot if you can be in that 16 to 17 win area.
Well, again, I can't believe it's already week 13. 3 months in, as you said, 3 weekends to go, and we're going to be talking about conference championships. We're going to be talking about regionals, brackets, super regionals, and of course Omaha. I was listening to your good friends and colleagues, Mr. Derek Stevens, already getting a little itch to come back to Nebraska and Omaha so we can chart the Jello shots, the chicken tender reviews, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, Q, before we get you home safe and sound, Scroller's been going the whole time. They know where to find you at Q Millie's, 3 L's, 2 Y's. Tell them where all the written work is, the plays, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Q Millie, 3 L's, 2 Y's, like you said, collegebaseballinsiders.com. It's been revamped by our very own Matt Grissom. The guy has figured out coding. He's a savant, not only in college baseball, but now I think he's opening up his own AI firm. So be on the lookout for that. It's an incredible upgrade to the site. You could do our Dub Club through our app through that. The link, if you don't have it, DM us. But then collegebaseballinsiders.com, you can also sign up there in our new platform for plays.
Mr. Grissom.
I think Q hit the nail on the head, everything he said. Collegebaseballinsiders.com. Go check it out. We're about to do another live refresh as well as update the matchup. You can enter to win. It's $25 gift card to Home Field Apparel in the weekly contest. It's absolutely free to enter. Just sign up for an account. You don't have to pay. You don't have to be the subscription account, but sign up. Let's have some fun. See if we can crown a winner. All the stats, advanced analytics, all our metrics and everything right there for you. Also mobile friendly with a pretty good scoreboard. So check it out. And I'm at M Grissom on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it now.
Go follow Matt at M Grissom. Go follow Quentin Mills at Q Millie, 3 L's, 2 Y's. Of course, follow them at the NCAA Insiders. Any guest spots, of course, on VSiN, Sports Grid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What a day here at ECSI Media Group. I can't thank everyone enough. Standing room only here on Twitter. Go follow the boys. Enjoy the boys of spring as they get ready to head to hopefully Omaha. At least 8 teams, that is. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at ET Sports Invest, the one and only Mr. Grissom and Mr. Quentin Mills, we got you home safely. Behave yourselves. Enjoy the baseball. Get some extra sunflower seeds and stay tuned.